Hi everybody! I wanted to share a little video with you. I'm planting up a container. So this container had gotten planted a little while ago, but I'm using a plastic half barrel. They mimic the wine barrels. Um, they're not as strong and sturdy, and they, break down in the weather. Of course, the wooden barrels do too, but I have a wooden barrel that's been sitting out in the weather for, I don't know, probably at least 10 years. And yes, the metal bands are just barely holding it together. And yes, the roots have grown all the way through the bottom. We can't move the container at all, but it's still holding up. This container cracked. I don't know if you could see it, but there's a crack going from here to there, and yeah, you can see it like that. And since it was pretty newly planted, I knew that these plants were going to push out the soil as the season went on, so I wanted to get out here and replant it as quickly as possible. So we're going to do that today. This is a mixed bulb planter. The big showcase bulbs here are actually dahlias, and I order my dahlias from the Swan Island Farms in Canby, Oregon, and they always print the name. Of course, you can barely read it anyways, but they always print the name of the dahlia right on the tuber, so you know exactly which one it is, especially when you're buying multiple tubers like I normally do. So this one's called Hulin's Carnival. It is a dark red dahlia, and I'm just going to plant one on each side of the container, and then we're going to plant up a bunch of other smaller annuals and other bulbs. The dahlia goes in about 6 inches, which is how long this particular spade is. So I just move it over, and I've always put mine kind of sideways. You can kind of see how they belong. Sometimes they've already got a root on them, so you can use that as an indicator. You could also see the sprouts coming up. And this one I can't read. I think this one gets crazy, which is like a coral color. I'm just gonna put that one on the other side, and I have plant tags made for them. So I'm actually just gonna put a couple of small sticks in which side, because I might end up turning the container around, and I want to make sure that I know where they're planted. The next thing I'm going to do is plant the hyacinths, which are the biggest bulbs that I have with me right now. And these guys will go down about 8 inches. So I'll still use my spade, but I'll just get in there a little bit deeper. And I'll probably plant 5 of these, and then I'll put the other ones somewhere else. These came out of a container that just was like a fun mixed container with, I think they had bluebells and some other things in there. So those are early blooming bulbs. So we get to those will come up first, most likely. Maybe. Well, there is a couple of daffodils in here, so it's possible that the daffodils will come up before the hyacinths. Just depends on which variety it is. I actually only have one more, so I'm just gonna stuff it in there. The cool thing about planting multiple bulbs in a container like this is that they're all at different levels. So, and they bloom at different times, so we can have hopefully a lot of color coming out of this pot. So the next one that I'm gonna do is the daffodils, and they actually go like 9 inches down because they get a really long stem. So there's only 3 of them, and I'm gonna put them in between the hyacinths or put them way down. I should mention that I actually have bulb and bloom food that I actually mixed in with, like I mixed it all in here before I even got started. So I meant to mention that it's a slow release fertilizer, and it'll just slowly feed them, because right now none of these bulbs are active, and they're just gonna overwinter in this container. Now I'm in zone 9A, which means I can leave this container out here and expect all of these bulbs to be overwintered safely. They won't freeze. If for some reason our area got a really bad freeze, I can come out here and put a little cloth over it to keep the soil warm. The next ones I'm gonna do are actually bluebells, and they range in size from like 2 inches to 1 inch, and I don't know if you could see it. And they actually will only go in like 3 inches, so I could just kind of dig in here, and I have quite a few of these, so I'm just gonna plant them along the perimeter of this container, like almost right up against the sidewall, but with at least 1 inch or 2 of soil in between the sidewall and the bulbs. So, and then, you know, if they're like kind of rotten like that, I don't bother planting them. Give the other ones an opportunity to grow well. And with these, you would plant the pointy end up. And let's see. Oh, hopefully I have enough to get all the way around. Just have this one last one. I think. Looks like maybe I have this one. Okay, it's really little. All right. So this actually will just give me a lot of spring color. All those bulbs will bloom early spring. The hyacinth, the daffodil, and the bluebells all bloom between late February and mid-April. And then the dahlias will come up and start blooming mid to late July, all the way through September. So in the meantime, because it's just this empty container, or so it looks like, I'm gonna do 2 things. One is I'm going to plant a Compactus culinary thyme, and it only gets a few inches tall. Let's see if it shows. Doesn't say exactly how tall, but it doesn't get as big as the species thyme, and so it'll stay nice and short in this pot, and I'll be able to you know, kind of contain it in this pot. But I'm going to put it over here on the edge because this is the most sunny side that this pot's going to get. And just tease the roots a little bit. They were just a tiny bit root bound, but not bad. And then we'll get that in here. And then that will actually give me almost all year round color, because I will cut them back. I'll probably cut it back in October-ish, and then it'll start coming back up because we have such mild winters that my thyme grows all year long. And so it's gonna get these little tiny lavender color flowers on it, so that's gonna be cute. But I'm also going to add some annuals to have some really fun pops of color until this actually fills out this year. So I have a red petunia. I have 2. So I'm going to put one on each side. And these just go as deep as the pots that they're in. So long as I'm not too close to the bluebells, I'm not going to disturb any of those bulbs that I just planted, Again, a little bit root bound. Gonna just tease it a little bit and let them sit in there. These will spill over the sides, so that's gonna be a fun little punctuation of color. And then I'm gonna plant these yellow marigolds. I have 3 of those, so we'll do that here. And see how loose this root system is? I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna tease that apart. Okay, and then I like to just go ahead and pinch off the spent flowers when I first plant them. It just gives the roots of the plant an opportunity to develop really well. Okay, most of it looks pretty good. I have my pruners out here with me. Over there. Okay. All right. So then the last thing I'll do is water it in and put a little bit of compost over the top. Probably just around the edges because the dahlias don't like too much fertilizer. And I noticed this one is trying to get eaten by slugs, so I'm just double checking that there's no actual slugs on there. So let's just make sure these slugs on there. All right, so that is kind of it, guys, and I appreciate you hanging out with me while I plant up this container today, and I hope that you were inspired to plant up not just something edible and useful and medicinal, but something that you could really just enjoy for the pleasure of having flowers in your garden. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video.